Today I'm covering the two most exclusive and expensive neighborhoods coming to the Aledo area. Today, we're going to be hopping into the differences between Bluejack Ranch and Maverick Golf and Ranch Club. And I'll be honest, there's still a lot of information that's not public that I don't have, but I have some information that you don't. So I wanted to share that with you. Some of this information is public, some of it's slightly private, some of them I've got from conversations. And I've been asked not to share everything I know publicly. So if you are looking for more information, reach out, let's have a conversation. And if I don't know the answers, we'll get in touch with someone at either one of these communities who can answer those questions. And so let's get rolling. Okay, now before we get into like all the nitty gritty details, let's talk about location. And honestly, they're both on 377. They're not gonna be significantly different drive times depending on where you're going. But Maverick is gonna be a little closer to downtown Fort Worth. It's actually gonna be on 377 between Ventana, so south of Ventana, and northeast of the Bella Flora neighborhoods. And so it's gonna be right there. It's gonna be super close and really easy to, get in and out. But Bluejack's only another 5 minutes down the road. You go further down 377 and it's gonna be right past Kelly Road, just south and southeast of Kelly Ranch. Now, Bluejack's gonna be, I think, about 914 acres, full build out. It's gonna have approximately 600 homes, so pretty small community. Like I live in a neighborhood with about 175. So if I think of that, only around three and a half times bigger than my neighborhood. That's pretty small, right? For like a really nice neighborhood like that. And then Maverick is going to be about 1,100 acres, so not much larger. And it's going to have, they're estimating about 500 homes at completion. I'm sure some of this can vary based on, how the first round of phases go with lot sales and which lots sell better. So if like smaller lots sell better and faster, maybe they do more smaller lots, or if the larger lots sell better and help them essentially make more money, they might go with larger lots. So the exact home count is probably a little bit TBD right now, but I do think the neighborhood's going to be roughly equivalent in size. The overall footprint is going to be roughly equivalent in size, plus or minus 1,000 acres. And you're going to be really close to downtown Fort Worth. You could easily work in downtown Fort Worth if that's where you are. And honestly, a lot of the people here are going to be highly paid executives or business owners or something like that. So being in a hub to Fort Worth is going to be important, or possibly even driving into DFW International Airport. Really, even though Bluejack's a little further out, it's probably only like 5 minutes further from anything, if that, depending on where you are in the neighborhood. All right, now we're going to talk about the actual golf for a minute. And if you're a golfer, you know way more than I do already about this probably, which is why you're here. And I'm here to educate you on the rest of it, but I can't leave out talking about the actual golf courses. So Bluejack Ranch is going to be a Tiger Woods branded and designed golf course. There is going to be a championship 18-hole golf course there. They're also going to have a lit par 3 course, and from what I can tell and see from the resources, they're going to have some really cool like practice facilities, like technical training, like indoor like swing workshops, stuff like that. So that's going to be really cool. And then you've got Maverick Golf and Ranch is going to have a Tom Fazio golf course, again, championship style golf course. I'm interested to see what kind of championships get played here. And they're going to have a 12-hole executive and a 9-hole par 3. So we're going to have 3 courses versus 2. I'm sure they'll also have some sort of practice facilities and stuff like that as well. But, I'm not a golfer. Put in the comment section if you are and what you think about the difference between like maybe a Tiger Woods golf course and a Tom Fazio. So I'm gonna get back to my expertise, which is the real estate, and we'll keep going. Okay, let's talk about pricing and product. And this is gonna be a pretty big difference, right? Like not everybody that can afford Bluejack can afford Maverick. There is gonna be a significantly different expanse there. I think that the lowest end of Maverick is probably gonna be around the top end or somewhere near the top end of Bluejack, right? So like the most expensive in Bluejack will probably be more expensive than the lowest in Maverick, but the overlap's probably going to be something like this, right? So, and I have another video on the Bluejack update. You can go check that out. But you have racket retreats, you have horseshoe cabins, horseshoe homes, then you have like the estate lots, right? And those start from like 1.25 million up to 2.2 plus. And your custom estate size homes are probably going to be pretty, there's going to be some that are going to be 3, maybe 4 million on the top end, I would think maybe. And your lot sizes are, most of them are going to be between like 0.4 and 0.6. You're going to get a few closer to an acre, but probably not at an acre, with those lot values being somewhere between 750 and 1.8 million. Maverick's a little bit different, right? So Maverick, the average lot size that's available the last time I checked in on this was about 0.75 acres. And the average available lot was like 1.7 million. Since then, I've heard that that's now about $2 million. So that available lots could be increasing in price. So if you're interested, reach out sooner rather than later. So if you're building a cottage style property, which is gonna be their smaller property in Maverick, you're gonna have to go through their builder. And they're quoting like maybe $750 a square foot on build cost is what I believe I've been told. Don't hold my feet to the fire on any of this. I could be totally wrong, but I've had some conversations trying to communicate good, accurate information. I'll update it if I'm wrong, which means maybe like even on a smaller end home, like 2,400 square feet, you're looking at 1.7 for the property. You're looking for 1.8 for that square footage, which that's not a good breakdown of like lot to like home value, right? You don't want to be at 50% lot value, but that'd be $3.5 million. Like that's like the smallest thing I can think of that would make sense, which is pretty crazy, right? That's not your average. It's not even your average high-end Fort Worth clientele. So I do think that Maverick is going to have a product that draws people who would not normally own a property in Fort Worth. It might be drawing the people that a $3 million home is their second home, maybe, right? So I think it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out, where the exact price points are. It'll be interesting to try to figure out what they are with how private discovery land is with all of their products, right? So eventually that information will become more public and more readily available. I don't have a lot of that information. So some of this is speculation, but I am learning more and more, trying to get that information out. If you're interested, reach out to me and let's keep going and learning about the difference between these two really cool neighborhoods. Okay, let's get into the amenities. And this is going to be one where like they both are going to have a ton of amenities. And there's just probably going to be a different like vibe and style to them. Like there's going to be sports courts, racquetball courts, pickleball courts, basketball courts. There's going to be pools, all sorts of really fun things to do. Athletic center. They're both going to have, on-site restaurants, but you're going to have some differences, right? Like Bluejack Ranch is going to have their working dude ranch. They're going to have horse stables. They're going to have an outdoor arena. At Bluejack also, you're going to have what they're calling some sort of like entertainment studio where like they could do live podcasts or maybe some video stuff. So I'm going to be interested to see like what that gets used for. And then, Maverick is going to have like water park style pools. They're going to have like a fish camp, kids club, and they're probably going to have like a higher end amenities, but that's not to say that Bluejack's not high end, right? It's like, the nth degree and the nth plus 1 degree is kind of like probably what we're looking at. One minor difference, and it's not truly a neighborhood amenity, but Bluejack Ranch should be developing some like retail space that's like not just theirs, right? It should be open to the public. So I mentioned it in my video about Bluejack. It's probably going to be something like Clear Fork style shopping. So it's something that you could get access to if you were, in Maverick, but you'd have to get on 377 and come down 377 for that. So the amenities is something where like there's going to be some differences, but I'm not sure the amenities are going to be a reason to really choose one over the other. I think there's going to be much more important reasons, as we'll discuss in a minute, on why you might pick one neighborhood over the other, even separate from price. Okay, now other than the price point, I think this next item is the most important thing for you to understand if you are considering buying in either of these neighborhoods, and that is how golf club and membership works. So in Maverick Golf and Ranch, you must own a home in that community to be a member. It's the only way. The only way. Alternatively, in Bluejack Ranch, owning a property in that community does not guarantee you the ability to become a member. It's invite only and is going to require like references. And so this could just be like a huge thing. Like, I'm not a huge golfer. I've never been a member of a golf club. So I don't know kind of the dynamics and the politics and like the social side of like what impacts an invite only club. Is it, well, I got to be a really good golfer, or is it like I got to be a cool dude, or like I have to own a business? Or is it just like I have enough money that they'll take my money? So this is kind of an interesting thought process because you're going to have a pretty exclusive feel on either one, right? You're going to have Maverick where basically the minimum home value is going to be like $3+ million probably. And those are the only members, right? I'm sure they can bring guests in, but you're really high level of exclusivity there. And then on the other hand, you're going to have, Bluejack Ranch, which is still a luxury level neighborhood for the Aledo area, right? Minimum 1.25 plus million. But they're going to drive some of their exclusivity by kind of that invite only curated membership. So that could play an impact, and you're going to have these huge initiation fees either way. And I don't know what the exact yearly cost to maintain that's going to be, but it is very safe to assume you're going to have 6-figure membership like entry fees for either one of them, and that could be multiple 6 figures for both. So I'll be interested to see exactly where those land and maybe how they grow. So that would be a reason that if you are considering either one of these neighborhoods and you are planning a trip down here, reach out to me. Let's make sure you have all the information you need to make the most of your visit. You can, look at both, get the pros and cons. We'll probably meet on site, have one of their people take us on a tour, see the lots, see the layout, hear exactly from the horse's mouth what's going on, what to expect. But if that's something you're doing or planning to do, reach out. Let me book some time on my calendar to make sure I have a whole day for you if you're coming in from out of town. So again, just super important to understand, separate from the price, that you want to know how membership will work if that is important to you. Okay, now let's touch on some practical things like school districts, utilities, taxes, and we'll do this pretty quick. But first off, Bluejack Ranch should entirely be an Aledo ISD from everything I can tell. If you were going to send your kids to the public schools, great. Maverick's going to be a little bit different. It looks like the attendance zone will actually run through the neighborhood. So part of the neighborhood will likely be Fort Worth, part of the neighborhood will be Aledo, and that could actually make a difference. Now, I'm talking about the public school attendance zones, and these are multi-million-dollar homes. The likelihood that many of the homeowners are going to send their kids to public school is pretty low. But if you have a family and you are looking for this type of product, and you want your kids to be able to participate in the Aledo athletic program, that's really important to you, right? Like, you need to know that if there's a chance. Even if you're like, hey, our plan is private school, but maybe we'll do this. Like, super important. You don't want to spend a couple $1,000,000 and realize you should have bought 3 lots over, right? So that's something to be aware of. Taxes, HOAs, stuff like that. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of info on Maverick Golf and Ranch. I don't have a ton of info on some of the specifics on them yet. I'm going to guess and assume they're going to have a MUD similar to Bluejack Ranch, probably from the city of Fort Worth, possibly Benbrook, but I'm going to guess there's going to be something there. So your tax rate's probably going to be on the higher end as well. Tax rate in Bluejack's about 2.79. So even if you were able to get city utilities, which I doubt, your tax rate's still going to be like 2.3. So I'm guessing probably going to have another MUD. So you're probably going to be closer to 2.8-ish there. And then you're going to have your HOA dues, whatever that looks like. I know Bluejack Ranch is somewhere between $3,500 and $5,500, depending on the product you're in. And I don't have any info on Maverick, what that's going to cost. And remember, that's going to be totally separate from whatever your golf club membership dues are. So something to think about. And now when it comes to like other utilities, you are likely going to have fiber. All the new neighborhoods, almost all of them they're getting fiber laid from the get-go. So I would expect that. And now timeline, really the timeline more importantly on the golf courses. And, remember, you have the Tiger Woods golf course in Bluejack, you have the Tom Fazio golf courses in Maverick, but you're probably not going to have either one of them completed to any level of usability until late 2026. I mean, I've seen the drone footage. They are in the process of developing those. You can see the sand pits, you can see the greenways, you can see the fairways, whatever. That's all in process. You're probably not going to have anything usable till probably late 2026 for either of them, but that's something to be aware of. So those are some of like the practical things. And next we're going to jump into which neighborhood might be best for you. Okay, now finally, what type of buyer is best for each neighborhood? So if you are looking for kind of that ranch-esque, like Western style feel and vibe, Bluejack Ranch is going to be great because that's really kind of the vibe they're going for, especially, with that working dude ranch. And if you want something maybe more like super upscale, less ranch and more luxury, maybe go with Maverick, because you're going to get that Discovery Land Company total build out, chef designed, meals, they have like gourmet refreshment stations apparently. So there's going to be some additional variety there other than just the feel. If you want to bring your own builder and do your own fully custom home on maybe an acre or more, and you have the money for that, Maverick's going to be your option right there. If you want to be in a community that maybe is a little more cohesive vibe and feel, Bluejack will do that because they're kind of controlling the 3 or 4 different styles those homes can be. But you're not going to be able to get over an acre, and you're also not going to be able to bring your own builder. So those are some things to think about as you are maybe processing which one is for you. And honestly, like Maverick's going to be more expensive. Their average product will be more expensive than the average product in Bluejack. So that might make a difference. But if you can afford both, there are going to be some different feels and different vibes there as well. So that's everything I know about Maverick Golf and Ranch and Bluejack Ranch right now at this moment in late 2025. When I know more, maybe early 26, I'll be giving another update. I think these two communities will continue to update and share and release new information. And I want to be a place where you can get that if you need it. So if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. Come back for more information. If you are thinking about moving to the Aledo area, let's just start a conversation. Let me know what it is you're looking for. I can give you some extra information, some feedback, some guidance. And if you have a trip, especially if you have a trip, reach out. Let's get some time on my calendar to make sure we can meet, or I can show you around, or at least I can give you some pointers on the best places to go and the best places to get lunch while you're here. Thanks. Until next time.